Hello, 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 and welcome everybody. It is me, Psychic Medium Natasha, and I'm currently in my office right now. But I do have some time before I meet up with some clients, and I figured this will be the perfect time for me to film a quick little video, and I wanted to get personal. Let's talk about the time in my life when I found out the power behind affirmations, the power behind your words. Because I'm telling you, when I learned this lesson, it was very bittersweet. It was messy. I was not looking for it. It was very unintentional. And when I learned this bittersweet, hard lesson, it changed my life. Now in my life, I'm very careful with what I speak, what I put out there in the air, what I'm speaking to myself, what I'm saying to others, what I'm speaking and putting out there to the universe, because it matters whether you think anyone is listening or not. So I feel that sharing this story could be helpful to you all. Either you will resonate with this, or you might learn from this, or it might just be entertaining and funny to you. Who knows? But I'm ready to share what happened and how I learned this lesson and why it's instilled into me. So, if you're interested to learn all of that, please keep watching. And if you do resonate with this story or just simply want me to post more story times, please hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my free spiritual content on this YouTube channel. So let's get into it. Okay, so this story starts when I was in middle school. Okay, this was about seventh grade. So I was like 14 or 15. No, I was like 13 or 14, something like that. I was like early teenager. And during this time of my life, I hated PE, I hated gym, physical education, whatever you want to call it. I hated it. At that time, I was just a big kid. I was having issues with breathing because my tonsils were always swollen. I eventually got them removed. But during that time, I hated gym class. I just hated it beyond a burning passion. So during that time of my life, I would always say to myself, stop sweating. And I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, ugh, gross. I hate the feeling of sweat. At that time, I was sweating a lot. I could make a puddle where my armpit was, or I could have my whole back dripping, just from playing. It wasn't hard to. So, because it was just so easy for me to sweat, I felt gross and dirty and I was hot. So, I just didn't like the feeling of feeling sweaty because back at that time, being a middle school, I just could not take a shower in the middle of school and then go about my day. They didn't even offer it at that time, okay? So I would always just say to myself, not thinking anything of it, stop sweating, stop sweating. Because I would see these girls at gym class and they would run or do all this, but they wouldn't sweat. And they were like, I just felt like not sweating was like a great thing. I was just trying anything to avoid it. So I was just always saying it to myself, stop sweating, Tasha, especially at gym. And then I noticed over time, and it was in the same school year, over time, I would sweat less and less. And at first, I thought that was a good thing. I was like, yes, I'm not sweating as much, so I'm not going to be stinking. I don't have to, I could just change my clothes. I was just thinking this was a convenience. Thinking, oh, yeah, I don't want to sweat. I don't want to be gross and sticky and all this. Yeah, I want to feel fresh. Well, that went on for a prolonged time. More and more time went by, and I would say to myself, stop sweating, until eventually I could not sweat. I did not think that was a bad thing. I was thinking, oh, yeah, I could just be outside and I might get, you know, some sweat on my forehead. I might feel it in my armpits, but I'm not dripping. And at the time, I didn't really know why, but I was like, oh, yes, this is awesome. But once you're not sweating, it's really not natural. I realized there was actual physical health issues that started to arise because I couldn't sweat. Apparently, you need to sweat so that your body can release, detox, like it's also a way to cool down. When I was not able to sweat on my own, I quickly realized that as springtime was approaching in that school year, if I was not sweating properly, I was calling it prickly heat, where you're basically overheated. You're about to get a heat rash, but you're not sweating because your body's not cooling off. So basically your body's hot and you have no way of regulating your temperature of cooling off. So I would very often get heat rashes and I started retaining all this water. It was so horrible, you guys. I was already like a chunky girl. And then once I started putting on the water weight, it was so intense in my face. Like I looked like I was putting on like weight in my face, which was all water, and I could feel it also in my ankles, like the excess water. So eventually I told my parents and I was like, look, I feel like I need to go to the doctor. This ain't right. And basically, when I went to the doctor and told them what was going on, of course, doctor, they treat the symptoms and not the cause, unfortunately. So they prescribed me a diuretic pill. It was basically a water pill. When you take it, it makes you pee a lot. So that basically all the excess fluid that I couldn't sweat out, I would pee out. So every day I was taking this water pill because I could not sweat just to get the water off me. And I would have to take these doctor notes to the specific teachers to explain, yeah, I'm on this medication, so I have to use the bathroom a lot. So over time, I realized that the water pills was definitely helping me get that water off of me because I was feeling it like on my chest and my face, and it didn't feel good. And then I quickly realized, as I was taking the water pills, I was like, you know what, I feel like I need to start sweating on my own again, even though I hate the feeling, because clearly I need to sweat. I don't want to depend on these water pills. Plus they make me have to go to the bathroom so often because it makes you pee, that I feel like I can't really do much because you're always going to have to be running to the bathroom. So at that point, once I realized, okay, I need to address the issue, I need to sweat again, I started saying, you know what, Tasha? We can sweat, we can sweat. I would start slowly doing these exercises where it would force me to sweat, but like I guess basically what I'm trying to say is over time, once I made the decision that I needed to start sweating naturally, I made the decision that I needed to start speaking that I could sweat again and to be doing little exercises where I could challenge myself to sweat, but in a controlled setting where I wouldn't like have a heat rash or pass out, like anything dangerous. So I would just do small gentle exercises at home basically. And over time, over the past, so once I got in that mindset of we need to heal this issue so I could sweat again naturally, I started backing off those water pills. I didn't have to take them as much. Instead of every day, I took them only a few times a week, and then eventually only on the days I felt that was needed. Then I got off of the water pill, and then I started sweating more and more. So the lesson I'm trying to share here with you all is that it took me at the beginning of that school year of me deciding not wanting to sweat. By the time that was at the beginning of the school year of September, by the time it was spring of that school year, I could no longer sweat. Then, by the time it was next school year, the beginning of next school year, that's when I started noticing all this water weight on me. Over the summer, came back to school, I could tell that it like I was like this is fluid, because if it was fat, like, it would it would feel different. So, it was just bittersweet to learn that sweating is necessary and what you say to yourself matters, because your body is made out of water. Water holds memory, it can hold intention. So when you're speaking to yourself, even if you don't think anything seriously of it, your body is listening, your body is keeping score. So when your body is keeping score and you're telling yourself something, it means your body believes it, whether it's a joke or not. So I'm telling you, what you say matters. And if you want to be something, if you want to embody something, if you want to feed it in your mind until you can be that, affirmations are an amazing way to go. But don't be like me and be speaking things out in the air, not thinking much of it. And when it happens, don't be shocked because I absolutely was. And it took me 2 years after first getting on that water pill to be able to train my body to the point to where I could safely go to the gym without being in fear that I would pass out because I just could not sweat, because there is danger in that. So I hope y'all resonated. Hope y'all learned something, or I hope y'all were at least entertained. But that is the bittersweet lesson that I learned. So I hope you enjoyed this story time, and blessed be.